Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, I want to tell you a story. Not just any story, this one is whispered about in hushed tones, told only when the night is deep and shadows crawl across the walls. It begins with a house. A house no one dares to live in anymore. They say the walls of this house breathe. That if you stand in its hallway long enough, you can hear whispers curling out of the wallpaper, like trapped voices begging to be freed. But to understand why this house is feared, you need to hear the full tale, the story of the family who once lived there, and what happened to them. The Harrisons were the kind of family that people in small towns talk about with envy. A mother, a father, and 2 children. Perfect smiles, warm laughter, a picture of happiness. They moved into the house one autumn evening, when the leaves were already starting to wither and the wind carried a strange chill. Neighbors watched them from their porches, shaking their heads. Not because they weren't welcome, but because everyone knew the house. Everyone knew what had happened there before. But the Harrisons didn't listen. They thought it was just gossip. Just old tales meant to scare children. At first, everything was normal. The children explored the attic, giggling as dust filled their lungs. The parents unpacked their belongings. Dinner was warm, laughter echoed in the kitchen. But on the very first night, the whispers began. They were soft at first. So soft, in fact, that the family dismissed them as drafts in the old house. The children said they heard voices in their rooms, but the parents insisted it was the wind. But you see, the whispers weren't random. They called their names. One by one. Days passed. The whispers grew bolder. They no longer hid in corners. They crawled into dreams. The mother began to see things at night, faces pressed against the glass of her window, though no one was outside. The father would wake to find muddy footprints across the floor, leading from the cellar to their bedroom, but vanishing halfway. The children spoke less. Their laughter vanished. Their eyes were tired, wide, afraid. They said the whispers were telling them secrets. Secrets about death. Secrets about the past. One night, the youngest child came to the mother and asked a question no child should ever ask. "Mommy, why does the house want us to stay forever?" The mother froze. She wanted to believe her daughter was imagining things. But deep inside, she knew. The house was awake. And so, when you pass by that house today, you'll see it standing quietly. But if you dare to stop, if you stand there in the silence of the night, you might just hear them. The whispers. Not the wind. Not your imagination. But the voices of those trapped forever inside, still calling, still begging, still waiting for someone foolish enough to enter. So remember this story well. Because if you ever hear your name whispered in the dark, soft and low, as though the shadows themselves are speaking to you, don't answer. Because once you do, the house will never let you go.